Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm super excited. We have Lisa Kalma in the house. Lisa is a children's book author and a digital artist and a teacher who now creates educational and personal content about NFTs and art. And I'm a huge fan of Lisa's work. She was the first NFT artist that I ever bought from. And yeah, you just have a special place in my heart, so I'm super excited to be chatting with you today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sydney and Matt. I'm so happy to be here. And Sydney, I actually had no idea that my art was the very first NFT that you'd bought.
Yes,
That blows my mind.
urban
Absolutely.
urban mother. Yes,
Yes, and you bought the first one.
yes, the colorful one. She's mine. She's safely stored on our ledger forever.
Lisa, I have to say real quick, you
Yeah.
are my mom's favorite person to watch on TikTok. She loves you. She is so excited for this podcast just as much as we are. You got a huge
Hi,
fan.
Mom.
Yes,
She loves it. She
Yes.
loves everything about you, your personality, how you explain. Yeah. I just wanted to let you know.
Oh,
Huge fan.
thank you, Matt.
yes, she's a huge
That
fan.
is amazing.
I haven't told her that we're interviewing you right now because I wanted to be surprised and her to
Okay.
just see it.
Okay, well, hi, Mom, wherever you are. Lovely to meet you.
That's
So
funny.
funny.
How gorgeous is that? It actually blows my mind that you don't realize sometimes when you're doing social media, you kind of just feel like you're talking out to the void. You don't realize, besides the people that are obviously getting in touch with you and saying, hey, hi, the people that are potentially seeing you outside of that kind of smaller group of people that you talk to all the time. So that's just amazing. Thank you so much. You've made my day. That's beautiful.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I totally get that. It can be so hard just seeing numbers on the screen. It's hard to actually picture them as faces of people who are actually listening to you. So
Absolutely. And Sydney, just coming back to what you said earlier about you buying my NFT and it was the first one you'd bought. Well, you were then the very first person who bought an NFT from me ever as well. So there you go. It
I
was the
love
first
that.
first.
I love that. That is so special. That really makes. Before we get into today's episode, I want to thank our sponsor, SolSea. SolSea is an NFT marketplace on the Solana blockchain. They make it super simple for artists getting started to create NFTs and sell their artwork. I've been selling my digital art with them since October, and I have had great experiences, so I highly recommend checking them out. And if you're interested in learning more about NFTs, I have an entire playlist where I take you through the whole process, and I will link that down in the description below. So check that out and let's get into the episode. Wait, but before we do, I would really appreciate it if you take a second to like this video and leave a comment down below. It really helps a lot. It's honestly the best way that you can support this podcast right now. So thanks for doing that. And let's get into it. Be happy.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Lisa, so
Me
let's
too.
get into it. So I would just love to know a little bit about the history of your artistic journey. Like, how long have you been doing art and kind of what did you start with?
Sure. So the old age-old story, as long as I can remember, been drawing. I was the child at the swimming pool when all the kids were swimming. I was laying on the beach towel with my notepad and I was drawing. So it's always been something that I have just loved. And then I probably put it away for a little while. I sort of went through peaks and troughs. My grandmother was a beautiful oil painter. So we used to go and do art classes together when I was about 12. And we used to stand out in the fields and, we were learning together. We used to do these little art classes in her kitchen, on a kitchen table quite often. And so I really felt, I think, having someone in the family that was really artistic, and my dad was quite artistic as well, someone you could connect to and bond with in that way. So anyway, that took me on to doing oils and all sorts of things, but I put it away for a little while when I started teaching, to be honest. I always liked to sketch and things, but I didn't do anything too major in terms of creating big pieces of work, or I was really just fiddling. And then I had my son. It was funny. So I started back with my painting again. I was painting things for his nursery. I started again with some writing. So I'd always done sort of dabbled in, journaling and writing different short stories. So I started writing again and I was writing things for him, basically, in mind. And then as he grew up, and then I discovered digital art and I was like, oh, okay. I put all the oils and the acrylics and everything away again for a little while. When I discovered digital art, I got that iPad, and I tell you, I just went for it. It was like it reinvigorated my passion again for art, because it just felt so much more accessible. You didn't need to set aside a time. You didn't need to set any major time aside in terms of getting all your stuff out, packing everything away, cleaning up the mess. I could just sit down with the iPad and draw. So that was me probably 3 years ago. I think I got my iPad. Okay. 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, probably 3 years ago actually. And then I was trying to sell prints and things like that on Etsy, and I really wasn't having much luck at all. So I feel very, very fortunate that I found NFTs.
So, okay, that's great. Couple questions. So one,
Sure.
what drew you to digital art? So how did you find it? How did you find Procreate? Were you watching YouTube videos? Like, how did you discover that?
Yeah, so I actually found it. One of my son's friends' fathers was showing me this amazing chicken that he'd drawn, and he was showing it to me on his phone, and I was like, "What is this app? What is this? I need to have a look." And I then got it on my phone, so that was Procreate, and had a bit of a play with it, and so that really sold me. It's just the pocket edition, so there's not as much that you can do on it, obviously, as what you can on your iPad Pro, but you don't have your Apple Pencil or anything, but I just thought that just sold me straight away. I was like, I really want to explore this further. And yeah, then I got an iPad for my birthday, which I was very grateful for. I bought it for myself. It was my birthday present to myself.
Like for me, painting it just looks like such a mess. That's so true. I never really thought about that. Was that a big thing for you as well? It's like, oh my gosh, I could do all this with even little assistance and help of algorithms and stuff, and then also art it like all together in just this little thin sheet, anywhere, anytime, no mess.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what you said. It's so much less daunting to just do a little bit of art, because you don't have to wreck your space, bring out all these things. And depending on the medium, like working with oils, such a mess. You have to use, these different like binders and chemicals, and you can't just do a little bit of art. But with Procreate, if you have just some random idea, you can jot it down really quickly or take it anywhere and, do it on the bus, on the train. I was at a party, like a barbecue, people outside by a fire, and I met a guy. We bonded because he was drawing on Procreate on his iPad, and he brought it to the party. And I'm like, that's so great. That's
funny.
That's unlike so many other types of art. Because you could bring like a notebook and a pencil, but you can do the world on Procreate. Like you can make the most amazing things. And it's crazy that, all you need is that little iPad.
And it's so portable. You can do it anywhere. You can take it to the beach. You can be on holidays. You can do something while you're waiting at the bus station. There's, so many opportunities to be able to get into your art, which I just love. I love that it's portable. And, and it's really made me want to learn more about digital illustration as well, like other applications, like how do people use Illustrator and all those Adobe products I have no idea about, but it's kind of opened my mind to actually I'd love to learn that now. So I've got a bit more of an understanding of layers and things like that. So
I think Procreate is probably a great like launching pad to those other applications, because I looked at Adobe Illustrator and it daunted me a little bit, but spending a lot more time on Procreate, I can understand, and of course it would be a difficult transition, but capable nonetheless. Especially if you did Illustrator, would you get the tablet and use a pencil rather than a mouse? That's what I can't imagine drawing with a mouse.
I can't either. I think I'd have to.
A lot of people do, yeah. A lot of people use Photoshop and Illustrator, and they draw and paint with a mouse, which is crazy. I could not do that.
I couldn't do that either. I've got a friend that uses her tracker on her laptop. I'm like, how? How is it? I can't even use my tracker to navigate around Word document, let alone, to draw something. So I don't know.
That's okay. Yeah, that's some next level skills.
Yeah, my hands would be cramping so fast. Oh my
like a
gosh.
little trackpad.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
You know when you've got to like try to sign your name on a digital document with your finger on the trackpad and it's like, that would be my art. It would not work.
That is so true. That is a great comparison.
Those are got to be the worst signatures ever. Not even close.
Yeah, or you're using your mouse, and I'm like, that's my signature today. That'll be fine.
Oh my gosh. That is funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we go into NFTs, I want to ask you about your book that you wrote, your children's book. And I know that you published it independently, and I would love to just hear, I have no idea how that whole world works. So just a little bit of where the idea came from and kind of how did you go about that? Like, what were the first steps?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so my book is called My Llama Drama. I've got it here in case, shameless plug.
Yes.
My Llama Drama, that's great.
So
My
cute.
Llama Drama. I didn't do the artwork or illustrations for it. I just wrote the words.
Okay.
Because I never thought at the time that my art was really worthy of being in a book. You know what I mean? I feel like though that self-worth and stuff is growing over time, but it definitely at the time I was like, oh no, that's not my wheelhouse. I don't do illustrations and characters of llamas. I couldn't do that. So I worked with a wonderful illustrator called Eduardo Page from Mexico, and he's just fantastic. He's very Disney-esque in his style, which was kind of right what I wanted. So in terms of the process and where it all came from, I'd done a few short stories and been in a few competitions over time, and I'd done reasonably well there. I was really happy with that. And what ended up happening was, as I mentioned before, after I had my son, I started writing some books for him. And as he grew up, we have a llama farm that's probably, I don't know what it is in miles, but in kilometres, it's about 60 kilometres, so it's roughly an hour away. And my son became obsessed with llamas. He just loved them. And we were singing little songs about llamas, and we would go out and walk these llamas and visit these llamas. And I just, as inspiration always hits in the shower, all these little songs were going through in my head. And I was like, just started to make up a bit of a llama rhyme. And I was like, I should write this down. We all need a notepad or something in a shower.
I say that all the time. Yeah. I'm like, I need a pen in here. Why is it? Yeah, that's hilarious.
Exactly. So jumped out, started writing this story, not really with the intention of taking it anywhere other than maybe creating a homemade book or something for my son. But the more I started writing it, and it's in rhyme, I thought, maybe I'm kind of going places with this. So I wouldn't mind getting this properly published for him, because I just thought, well, in the future, how amazing would it be for him to be able to look back and go, my mum wrote this story and, it was inspired by me, my love of llamas. And in actual fact, as it turns out, I got him to draw, like on the front page, as you open the title page, there's like a little dedication to him. I don't know if you can see that, but he drew that little llama.
Oh, that's so precious.
With the bird on its head. So I thought, well, I wanted to have him immersed in it as well. And then I sort of did a bit of research, and I'd looked at traditional publishing, and I'd also looked at indie publishing, but I am a bit of a control freak, and I did decide that indie was best for me because I really wanted the control of the story. I wanted to choose my illustrator. I wanted to work and collaborate with someone like that. I wanted to work with an editor on my book. I didn't necessarily want to just hand over the manuscript and say, off you go, thanks so much. And I know it's realistically, it's so much harder to get into the traditional publishing space as well. And I knew that it can take years. Like, I've met people since who have told me, yeah, I've got a book deal. And I'm like, that is so awesome. When's your book coming out? They're like, oh yeah, 2028. And I'm like, huh? That's a long time. Yeah, it may not be that long, but it does take years.
So for traditional publishing, were you saying that you being the writer, you basically just give over the manuscripts with your words and then they pick the illustrator, they do it all basically? That's kind of the difference there?
I think it depends. Yeah, so I think that depends really on the publisher that you want to go with. So you would send your manuscript to them. They would obviously have to accept the manuscript and be happy with it. Then they might change it, and that's okay. But then they will pair you up. They'll say, I think this illustrator is great for your work. And they set, I guess it depends on the publisher, but my understanding, because I've never actually published traditionally, is that they would generally set the creative direction of, where this is headed. They will do a little bit of marketing for you, but I really think it's a big misnomer out there that people think that once they get this traditional publishing deal, they're set. The marketing will all be done for them and they'll be making all this money. But I think they do a bit of marketing for you, but then it's really up to you as the author and the illustrator to get out there and market your work. Plus, in terms of royalties, I don't know because I haven't, this is just what I've heard through the grapevine. I don't think it is highly compensated. The authors you need to really sell a lot of books to be able to earn a living from that. So I'd done a little bit of research and decided that it was really I'd learn as much as what I could about the indie publishing world, and I kind of got into a few little communities. We've got a local community, a book writing community, and started talking to people that way. And then, so with indie publishing, there's a lot of decisions that you've got to make. Obviously, you are the author. You've got to approach an editor. You've got to find a illustrator. There's all the text that needs to be laid out and all of that other sort of stuff that someone might take care of for you in the traditional world. But I actually love that. I love that I got to choose who I wanted to work with, and so I chose my editor because she's a poetry coach as well, which is amazing. So I like to write poetry. Yeah. And it was just amazing working with her because I thought when I wrote this book, I was like, oh yeah, I know how to rhyme. This is just a rhyming story. That's easy. And when I started working with her, I was like, oh, okay, there's so much more. It's not just rhyming. When you're writing something for children that rhymes, there's so many more factors to take into consideration, like, beats and all kinds of things. So it was fascinating and a really great learning experience for me. And I think Dr. Zeus says it best when he says the easiest books to read are the hardest books to write. So my book is super simple. When you read it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that doesn't seem like anything crazy hard to write. But every syllable has been selected carefully, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I worked with the editor, then I worked with the illustrator, and basically you need to make a few decisions about where you're going to publish. So I have gone through a company called Ingram Spark. So they do the printing for you, but they also have a catalogue which is available to libraries. So libraries and bookstores can buy your book through Ingram Spark. And I also went with Amazon KDP. So that obviously Amazon's really big. You can get some good exposure there if you market yourself right, obviously. And so it's available on both of those places. But now I'm really delighted to see that because I went with Ingram Spark, it's been picked up in a few bookstores as well around the place, which is fantastic, like Waterstones and all kinds of ones around the world that I didn't even know existed, which is great.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And that's one of those things that now, like, that can continue to be kind of picked up through time, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's just a passive. It can be as passive or as active as you like. So if you want to be out there marketing, I go to schools, I do author visits as well, which is so much fun. But you can just sit there and be passive income as well. But you do need to sort of point people towards it, obviously, because Amazon is so big, you can get lost really easily.
Of course, yeah.
Is it something that is that something like you would be promoting as in like Facebook ads and stuff, or is that just not something you'd want to do?
I think a lot of people do. absolutely. I didn't and haven't. I created a Facebook group when I was writing the story, and when I was had made that decision that it was definitely going to be a thing and I was going to publish it. I had this amazing group of people that were like, no, we'll be your advanced team. So they got a copy of the book in kind of beta, it wasn't out there yet, and they were my biggest promoters in this group. They were just amazing. They were going out like, yeah, Lisa's got this book coming out. Do you know about it? So I think, again, very similarly to the NFT community, it's about community, relationship building and support. So I never went down the track of paying for ads, but I know people do. So it's personal preference, I guess.
Yeah, very cool. I was inching towards that question of kind of what have your experiences from book publishing helped you in any way with NFTs? Like, have any of the kind of marketing that you learned how to sell yourself in the author world, has that kind of translated at all to the NFT space?
Yeah, I think so. Every experience that I've had so far in terms of different little businesses that I've tried and my book authorship, yeah, absolutely. The marketing side of it, look, although I have to admit, I know I've said this a million times before, the NFT community, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in my life. I've never been part of a community that is so welcoming and supportive, and that real competitive kind of mindset doesn't exist here, from what I've seen anyway. Everybody's genuinely cheerleading for each other and we're all happy for each other's success. So I think that's been really refreshing. So coming across from books where I don't know if it is quite competitive. It can be competitive, but it's really nice to come into a world where it's just like we're all just learning, we're all helping each other out, and so the community building has definitely been the biggest thing for me in both aspects, for my books and for NFTs. But yeah, I just think, also, Sydney, coming back to one of your posts earlier, I remember you were saying just post, just share your stuff, just share it. Like, you don't have to be shilling it, just share, like share what you're doing and share your journey. And I think if people resonate with you, then they'll be there for you and they'll come along with you, and vice versa.
Yeah. Do you think, I'm just thinking of this now, just throwing it out there. Do you think maybe one of the reasons why people in the NFT space are less competitive and more cheerleading for their companions and other community members, because it's so new, and so there isn't a bunch of people who are better than others or think they're better than others because they've been in the game longer, or all kind of just starting from nothing. So seeing anyone make it in this space because it's so new, we're like, yeah, go, because we're all just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. I absolutely. I think none of us can claim that we're experts yet. We're all still learning and we're all helping each other out. So we are early. So yeah, and I think we all look at each other as role models as well. Like, I definitely look at the both of you and I think, oh, that's why I was so nervous before coming on today. Even though I know I was talking to friends, I was just like, oh, they're like my role models, So it's no, seriously.
I love you, Lisa.
So it's just everybody's just kind and helping each other out. And because I might learn something today, but I won't gatekeep that and hide it. I'll go back to my Discord and or back to my community, wherever they might be, and just say, guess what? Look what I just learned. Quick, here, go and get on this. So everybody's helping each other out. Sometimes I think that can be a little overwhelming as well, because we do have so many things coming at us, because this space is changing so quickly that it's sometimes very difficult for me. I don't know about the both of you, but it's very tricky for me to actually know where to turn my attention and really focus, because it's like, oh, and now I'm going to learn smart contracts. Oh, now I'm going to go and, be a coder. No, I'm not. I'm never going to be a coder. It's not something that I'm good at, and nor do I ever think I'll be good at. So it's about it's trying to stay away from the FOMO, which is so hard.
I know, getting into NFTs and all this made me want to code too. And I'm like, okay, no, I cannot go down another rabbit hole I just need to figure out another way around it, get someone to do it for me. But it's like, I wish I knew. It's so interesting now.
And you had said something to me, which I needed to hear when I started going on the rabbit hole of, no, I need to learn the coding and I need to learn the back end and how to write my own smart contracts. And you said something to the lines of, focus on what you're good at. Like, you would have to put so much extra effort into, seriously, like I would have to spend double the amount of time it would take someone who's just more naturally gifted at math and numbers and all that stuff. It would take me so much longer. So it's like, no, focus on what you're good at. Like, stick to the art. That's not my thing. It's never been my thing. And you're right, it is about FOMO. It's like, well, there's all these cool people talking about it in spaces, and like I do want to get into that, but again, that would take so much time that I don't have.
We need to focus on one thing and become the best at it first.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I also try to think about the end game. Like, would I be happy coding? Can I imagine myself sitting in front of the computer 24/7 just typing in numbers or whatever it is? Or in words, I don't think so. Like, I don't think that would fulfill me. So I really have to, come back to how do I want to feel at the end of the day? I want to feel joy. What sparks that joy? And for me, it's art and it's writing. So it's not coding. Not that I've ever tried coding. I'm sure some people get a huge amount of joy out of coding and seeing their product, what they develop come out the other side, and it's amazing and it works. But we need them. But it's not something I think is in my wheelhouse. So.
So I have to ask, because and part of what you just said has me thinking, like maybe it was because, I don't want to assume, but just because this community is pretty welcoming. But you've done lots of different types of art. What about NFTs made you want to actually make social media content about making art and actually make videos?
So, that's a great question. So it was kind of like social media actually brought me to NFTs. So it was the other kind of way around. Like, I think I was in a really unique position where I didn't have a TikTok until probably 2 weeks before I got into NFTs. So I joined TikTok because one of my colleagues said to me, you should get on there because there's, lots of book talk, there's book talk, there's art talk, you'd really enjoy it. And I was thinking, oh yeah, that's just dancing kids. Like, come on, I'm too old for that. And then, but I thought I'll have a look. So I jumped on, and I think I put maybe 1 or 2 posts up about the journals and the teacher workbooks and things that I also create on for Amazon. And that's as far as I got before I saw you, Sydney. So that you are the one who introduced me to NFTs. So I was looking at different artistic, she's awesome. I was looking at different artists, and I was like, this is amazing artwork, and what is she talking about? What is this hashtag NFTs? And so and I think your first video was the one where you're like, how to turn your art into an NFT. And it was, you were walking people pretty much step by step. This is really simple. And it was on SolSea. And I was like, what? There's this other way of getting your artwork out there? What is this crazy thing? So then obviously I just went down the rabbit hole. So I think that is what then I really wanted to share my journey. So I think that is what then inspired me to start creating TikToks and Twitters and things about, or tweets, about NFTs and just sharing my journey. That's really, really where it came from. I was like, I'm such a noob. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to tell you what I know and what I'm learning as we go. And that was really how it started.
Yes, that's amazing. And that's exactly what people at the beginning needed. Like, everyone was in the same boat of having absolutely no idea what they were doing, just learning about what this new tech was and how can we use it as artists. And your videos are just the best. You're so authentic. You're so funny. You it's just so funny how you never made social media content before, and then you're so good at it. Like, you crush the TikTok.
You're a natural for sure.
Seriously, I'm like, where did that happen?
The TikTok or the one with the song, the NFT song, is that the one?
Oh my gosh,
that one had me so weak. Oh my gosh, I watched that like 20 times. I saw that. Yeah,
That's awesome.
and then it started the whole little
making that
trend,
one.
right? It started like there people were like, clipping it and adding their own. Oh my gosh, and stitching. That was
That's so
awesome.
awesome. So obviously I was on Instagram prior to TikTok, and it was just showing pictures of my art and my life, and I just didn't feel like, you know, the same amount of, and obviously now there's reels, but I haven't been on Instagram for a little while, but I think it's just, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. It's nerve-wracking when you're first putting yourself out there on video, particularly. It's so much easier if it was just your voice or just a photo, because you can really curate that. Definitely. On a video, obviously you can curate it to a certain degree, but it's just you know.
It's
you
you. Yeah, it's you being you.
Yeah, it's so raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would totally feel it. Like first time getting on camera, like I can do this. It's just talking, especially because I always talk to people. I'm an extrovert. Sit down, look at the lens, just the dark hole of doom, and then you just heart through your chest.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. We've had a couple experiences filming. Like we were filming this group, this class, and the people who were so funny, so loud, we were thinking, oh, we're going to get a great interview out of them. And then the second we turn on the camera, it's just everything changes. It's so different. And you wouldn't realize it until you're sitting in front of the camera trying to do what you were doing 2 seconds ago, but for some reason it feels so different.
Yeah, it's scary.
It really does. You're right. I think it's just about trying to be authentic, and it's been a journey for me, to be honest. At the beginning, I think, at the beginning, like it's so long ago, it was only back in like last October. But at the beginning, I was quite conscious of, right, I need to be standing in the right place. I need to have this right. I need to, you know, and curating it a little bit more, I think. But now I'm just like, oh, I've got a thought. I need to make a TikTok, you know, and I can be wherever I am. I mean, obviously you'll see me in very similar, you know, I'm in the office or I'm outside or whatever. But I think over time, as my confidence has grown a little bit with that, I have just felt that, you know what, I've come to accept that if people like me, they like me, and that's great. I've always been a people pleaser, so that's been a huge thing for me. But if they don't, that's okay too. I'm just not for them, and they're not my people, and that is okay. I think it's when you do get those sort of negative comments, and I've been quite lucky. I've only had a few trolls over time. The first couple really hit you hard. Like I was just like, oh, and what am I doing? Like I'm putting myself out there, and you can get so much beautiful feedback, and it just takes one negative to throw you off course. So I think I'm getting much better at that over time though. And now I just either ignore or try to laugh because I just think to myself, they just don't know. They just don't know where this is headed, and they don't understand it. And it's in people's nature sometimes to question and doubt when they don't understand something, I guess. And, you know, they could definitely do it in a kind of way, their fear and uncertainty, but, you know, I think I can only control my own reaction to it, not them.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's so true. It is so scary and vulnerable to put yourself out there on video. And I know, because I've heard and seen it firsthand from lots of people, that you doing that inspires so many people. Because like you said, people have gotten to see your journey of never posting a video before, and now you can tell you're so comfortable and confident and authentic. And it's such a beautiful thing on an app like TikTok that's so kind of quick and casual that you just get, you know, everyone feels like your friend. They don't feel like, you know, your student getting these beautiful, well-written lessons that you've planned out. It's like, it's so much more just,
what's up? This is what I learned.
Yeah.
Here you go. Bang.
Yeah.
Right in your
Organic
face.
or something.
so much more organic, and it's easy to digest for people. Like that's how people want to learn, especially things that are complicated and over their head and that seem scary. Having someone just be like, oh, I just figured this out today. Like, let me come tell you. It's so much less intimidating.
Can't be that hard if it's in a TikTok. Exactly. If you learned it from a TikTok, it can't be that hard, right? I can do it. That's how I think of it.
That's so true. Point. Yeah, I love that. And I think, it is, as you said, Matt, it's much more raw. Like, it's not that highly polished. You can make it highly polished and they look beautiful, but I think we're used to our Instagrams where it's like every photo is posed, and this is just like, I feel like people are sharing their wins and their losses on TikTok, the things that they're learning, and when things go wrong, we're just saying, oh my God, I stuffed up, like, or this happened to me and this is how I'm going to fix it, or I'm really sad. I don't think I've ever shared my emotions on any platform, social media wise, as what I have on TikTok. Like, I've cried a couple of times on TikTok and it hasn't been set up or anything. It's just like I'm genuinely feeling this raw emotion, and I would never in my wildest dreams have ever thought that I would go through with posting that. That I would hide that away and it would never be posted. And I think on TikTok, because of the fact, this probably also helps me out a little bit, is not a lot of my family and friends are on TikTok, so it doesn't feel like they're potentially going to come back to me and say, what was that all about? Or my mum's watching now though, so she's watching my TikToks and she questions me about them all the time. She's like, what did you mean when you said this? And I didn't know you felt this way about that. I have to learn about you through TikTok. And I was like,
That's
she's
funny.
so beautiful. I'm so
gosh, I
supported
love
by
it.
her. She's like, whatever you're doing, I'm behind you 100%.
That's
so
the best.
yeah, it is. It's beautiful. But she won't join. That's okay. I'm like, you need to join it. She's like, no, I'll just watch you.
That's funny.
So just being authentic, I think, and really helps you connect with other people in the space.
Let's get into, do you want to talk about your NFT collection? I would love to hear a little bit about it and about just your experience. What was your first experience like minting your first NFTs on SolSea? How did that go? Was it as easy as I made it seem? Were there hiccups? I want to know.
You made it so easy, and it was just that easy, and it was amazing. So, it was just that easy. Like, I am a Soul sister. I am a SolSea fan. I will, like, seriously, it was so simple. I think the nerve-wracking part was not the listing part. It was setting up the wallet, and, you've got to put in all your details. It's that level of trust, I think, because you're like, right, they want my ID, they want all these things. I get it. They totally need all that stuff, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just giving away all my ID details to somebody, a company or whatever that I'm not entirely sure. And not with SolSea, I'm talking about like Phantom Wallet and all that, setting up your wallets and Coinbase and all of those things. So, that was probably the nerve-wracking bit. But when I'd seen, you and other people then, because then I started to watch other people doing it online as well, I was like, okay, no, what have I got to lose here? So I thought I will... Originally, I was going to do... I don't know if you know what a cockatoo is. Have you heard of a cockatoo? It's a bird.
I have, and I'm glad this is coming up because I was going to ask. Because Lisa did a whole switcheroo, and when I first met you, you had said you were doing a collection with birds, and I was so ready to see this collection with birds. And then when Mother Urban came out, I was so taken off guard. It was just not what I was expecting, and that was the moment where I ran and was like rushing to get it before anyone else did. Okay, we'll get there. Continue.
Well, my very first experience was, although Sydney, you showed me differently that they don't have to be big PFP collections, it doesn't have to be thousands. So when I started doing research, all I was seeing was these massive collections. So I was like, oh no, that's what we do. I need to make one. I like to draw birds. I've got this bird that I've drawn. I'm going to make it, in 100 different colors and backgrounds and all sorts of things. So I started down that track.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened. I think I shared... Actually, I was on Twitter and I shared, because Mother Urban had been something that I'd recently done, and I thought, I'm just going to put some art out there on Twitter and just see what people think. I was sharing some birds and I wasn't really getting too much engagement. And then I put Mother Urban on and people were like, oh, I love this. And I was like, huh? I was actually really nervous putting it out there because it's one of those art pieces that well, same as all of my NFTs, it was really not a new direction for me, but some a kind of art that I hadn't really shared before, because normally I'm playing it quite safe. Like with my birds, yes, it looks like a bird, and the colors are all bright and whatever, but it's like, I think people will like this. Whereas with Mother Urban, it came from somewhere completely inside my soul almost, and I just went blah and put it out there without thinking about an audience, without thinking about where am I going to take this. I just thought it's going to stay on my iPad forever. But I just had a brave moment, I guess, and I was like, I'm going to share it and see what people think. And I got a really good response, and I was like, maybe I should be sharing my heart art rather than what I think people will like.
That's amazing.
So that's where that went.
Is so amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
What a great story. The heartfelt, emotional one comes out and is the winner. I love that.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't know it was birds before. Yeah, mother's way better.
and it's just funny because it's so different. We'll put it up on the screen somewhere, but yeah, it was just unlike anything I'd ever seen before, and it was just one of those art pieces that fully I just got lost in how it made me feel, and I just. Yeah, it just flooded me with all the beautiful feelings. And you had released 10, right? In different colors, different colorways, but one was all the colors. Yeah. And it was all the colors. And I just want to say
that's the one you got?
That's the one I got.
That's the one we got? Oh, jeez.
You got the OG. You got the OG. That was my original. That was the one I drew. And yeah.
It's truly, it's one of my favorite things ever.
Aww,
so, okay, so you made that first collection. Yes. And how did it go? How did selling it and all that?
Well, I didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, I've put it out there. I've started talking to people on TikTok and stuff. I was in your Discord by that time. And I have to say, you have the most beautiful Discord I've ever been in my life. If I ever need good vibes, that's where I'm going to go, because that's where I do go, because there's always just this beautiful feeling there. And I was new to Discord. I didn't even have my own at this stage, I don't think. And I was like, maybe, how do I tell people that I've done this thing? I don't know. And I went into one of your channels, which I think was Shill Your NFTs, and I was shaking. I was like, oh, I'm so nervous to put this out there, because yes, you can put it on SolSea, but then if you don't tell anyone about it, then it's not necessarily going to be found.
Yeah, it's not as vulnerable.
Yeah, that's right. So I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I remember just pressing the button, and I shared it on your channel, and I walked away, and I was like, and I was checking it all the time to see if anyone had liked it or anything like that. And I ended up, I am not kidding, Sydney, most of the buyers came from your Discord. So, yeah, I was just amazed. So I ended up selling things. I think you did buy the very first one, and then after that it kind of just snowballed over time, and it wasn't like I was an overnight sellout. It wasn't like people were stampeding and I just sold them all out overnight or even in a couple of days. I think it took me a couple of weeks, if not maybe closer. Yeah, maybe 2 to 3 weeks to sell the 10 of them. I wasn't, and I'm still not very good at kind of shilling, I guess. I'm sometimes I was like, yeah. And by the way, here's this thing I did. Okay, anyway, back to you. So that's just in my nature. I'm not great at that, but I'm trying to get better at it over time. And I think that was the first time I cried on TikTok. I was just like, I can't believe I sold these. I can't believe it. I was just so overcome with joy to think that somebody likes my art enough and resonates with it that they would buy it, and that it's out there forever now. You know what I mean? It's not just a printable or whatever. It's immutable. It's sitting on the blockchain, and it's basically, hopefully, going to be a legacy for my child. So yeah, and hopefully give him some passive income as he gets older. Some generational wealth would be great.
Heyo, let's go. That's so true. Don't lose the keys. Don't lose the keys.
Oh my God.
soon.
That's
Too
right.
soon to joke about that.
Yeah, we just had a problem.
We had a scare. We figured it out. Could have been devastating. But I relate.
Was that in the move?
No, it was just me being very smart
Matt
and
being
throwing out a paper I
goofball,
probably shouldn't have thrown out.
throwing out the most important piece of paper that we could ever have. Again, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh no,
full
I'm glad
panic.
you sorted that out.
Well, we sorted it out, but yeah, that was full panic. Losing the seed phrase for your
Full
wallet
panic.
that's
Well,
connected to your NFTs.
We'll just talk about it. So this is what happened. The wallet that I have minted all of my NFTs from, that's the wallet that will get those royalties forever, right? So if you lose the seed phrase to that wallet, those NFTs that you'll get royalties on for the rest of your time, you'll never have access to that money ever. And so that was one of the papers that we thought we lost. And it almost got real bad, but it's okay. I have it. It's fine. But yeah, no, that was scary. But because of things like that and kind of what you had just said before is with these things being on the blockchain, it felt different. Like when I was minting my first NFTs and like putting that art out there, when I was clicking those buttons, it felt different just knowing that these things are everlasting, that it was this weird feeling that I couldn't really put my finger on, and you just kind of explained it so well where you're like, yeah, you're creating a legacy. And
I heard something the other day, actually. I was listening to a podcast of some people talking about, like, have you given your wife or your husband the seed phrase? It's like that. They're like, nope, nope. And wow.
Oh,
I was like,
didn't.
wow.
Oh
It's
my
like,
God.
they're like going to write it in the will and they were talking about wills and all sorts of stuff. And, and they were talking about, well, how do you work this out later? Like if I was to, and hopefully this never doesn't happen, but, if something was to happen to me tomorrow, would my husband know, like, that I've got this thing? He knows I've got this account, but would he know how to get in and get the stuff, that's the thing. So it's interesting thinking about that kind of
like a game plan.
Planning. Imagine how many accounts or how many wallets are out there potentially with lots of amazing NFTs and crypto in it, and people don't even know that they exist.
I understand why, when we're getting a ledger and all these things, they send this plate that you could metal engrave your seed phrase in, so if fires happen and all this stuff, and it seems so silly, and it wasn't until that moment where I thought I didn't have that seed phrase we were like, okay, we need to send one to our dad's house. We need to send one to our grandma's house. We have two on opposite ends of the earth. We need, I felt in that moment. I was like, oh, I understand all of it. We need all the metal engravings.
We need 50 ways to not lose
on
this.
different continents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. But when you think about that intergenerational stuff, it just, this is, our work will be around forever. So really, and so will those wallets. So we're the custodians of some pretty important stuff for the next, whoever we choose to pass it on to. So I think, it's amazing. And it does open up a lot of questions too, I'm sure, for people around, how do they write this into their will? How, some people are like, I will never hand my seed phrase over even to my lawyer, and put it in the will because I don't want something to happen to it there. So it's just, lots to think about, I guess, in that context.
That's interesting. Yeah, I have never thought about that.
Oh my gosh. Well,
thought about it as
if
not
you
really
died or don't know your seed phrase, then all of a sudden too, maybe you blow up even more because artists get bigger when they die, and all of a sudden all this money is just getting shipped to a wallet that no one's ever going to be able to touch again. It's like pretty much a burner wallet now.
That's what I felt in that moment the other day.
It's like, great, we made a burner wallet for everyone's money. Good. This is good.
Oh my God.
And I want my son to have access to that wallet and to be able to, benefit off that in the future.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Hopefully. If I don't spend it all beforehand, because seriously, I'm buying so many NFTs, it's out of this world. Like, oh, I sold an NFT. Now I better go buy an NFT. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So what's next for you? What are you working on right now, art-wise?
Well, I am So my collection, Learning to Fly, there's still 6 of those out there. So I'm like, no, I'll just keep plodding along and talking about that. And I think what I really loved about that collection is that, and I'm super duper proud because I've sold 6 out of, I think there was 38 of them or something there, so I've only got 6 left, so I'm really happy with that. I think though I really love the aspect of, so I write a poem with every NFT that I create, and so I really love that aspect of narrating over one of my NFTs. So I think that's where I'm headed. I really want to explore more around incorporating my poetry with my art. So at the moment I do the art first because it sort of comes from that feeling, and then I write the poem after. But now I've pulled together a whole ton of my poems. I actually found them all yesterday and I was like, oh, I could create some NFTs based on this, but I'm not sure how that's going to work for me because I don't always do very well, I think anyway, with my art when I'm sort of confined to, say for instance, I've got the poem and then I've got to reflect that in my art. I don't know how that's going to go because I'll sort of be trying to think, oh, how do I express that in an artistic or visual art way. So I'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think definitely keep looking at literary NFTs. Back to the book. So yes, I've been exploring a few NFT marketplaces. So for instance, I was lucky enough to user test a marketplace called SolType, and they're in beta at the moment, and they're on Solana, which is great. And their whole focus is just literary NFTs, so all kinds. So I think that you might be able to do auctions. I'm having a space with them this weekend, so I'll be able to find out more. But it looks promising. But yeah, I'm still really in love with SolSea. I have to say, it's where all of my NFTs are. So I know the way it works, I understand it, and I know that there's a lot of exciting things coming as well, which is great. But yeah, so I'll keep doing my art potentially with poetry. I've also got another idea for a children's book. I've got 2 children's books that I've written that have come back from the editor, and since discovering NFTs, I've been so lazy, I've put them aside. I need to get back into that, but I had a bit of a brainwave and I thought of another children's book that I'd love to do that's more interactive and potentially could be in the metaverse in some way. So it would be a physical book, but I'd also love to explore dynamic NFTs. So I just have this dream of creating this children's book, and some of the characters will be NFTs that you can own that are dynamic and able to change over time based on what the buyer or the owner wants for that. So if that character is young and then or a creature, they can evolve over time based on certain conditions. So I really want to learn more about dynamic NFTs. I don't know enough.
That'd be cool if it was you could be the characters too, and you could do the story as the character, and you could switch characters, changing the story.
And I think if I could take it into somewhere, imagine, let's use spatial as an example, but if imagine being able to step into the book or step into a page of the book, and either as the character or as a some kind of interactive experience with other characters in the book. I just think, yeah, that's where I want to head. But again, I'm going to have to be sort of putting my feelers out to meet new people who understand how dynamic NFTs work, because I do not. So yeah, and 3D, and there's so many things.
So many things.
Yeah, so I think that's where I'm going. There are so many things.
Very cool. I'm excited to hear that because I loved hearing you narrate the poem for the NFT. I love your art, but more than that, I love your voice. I just love you talking. I think that was so unique and special and so personable, that it's your words, your voice, and your heart and soul in the art. It was just the most embodiment of you. It was so beautiful. So I love that collection so much.
Thank you, Sydney. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. It's probably been, although I know of all my art pieces, I've loved creating them equally. I really love that experience of narrating over top. Of one of them, I really enjoyed that. So I'll be doing more of that in the future.
The hidden things in your art. Can you explain that and what made you think of that? That is fun. I haven't seen many people do that.
I did not even think to talk about that. Yes, I love putting little hidden things in my art. So there's nothing in Mother Urban, unfortunately. If I had my time to go back, I would change that. But my Heart on the Sea was the second NFT collection that I brought out. And it was really, it came from a bit of an exploration around the same time. So my dad passed away when I was 25, and he loved the ocean. He was a mad kayaker, like he was the president of the canoe club, the local canoe club, and all sorts of things. So he loved being out on the water, and I was reflecting at the time on how I just had a birthday, so I was kind of reflecting on the time that he was around my age, a couple of years older when he passed away, and how things can just be taken away from you so quickly, you know, and you just never know when it's going to happen. So this art piece was really an expression of that. So that art piece was inspired there, and I included a little boat, a little sailboat on the water of that. And it was only tiny, but I wanted that to kind of represent my dad. And then I was like, oh, this is fun. Like I can, and then I wanted to represent other people in there. So there's like some little people sitting on the main character's crown, like on her headdress. And I thought, I didn't want it to be really a big, obvious, grand expression of my love. I mean, I do want it to be a big, grand expression of my love for my dad. But in terms of those little things, I didn't know quite how to incorporate them without it being really obvious, if you know what I mean. And because I know that art can mean so many different things to so many different people. So that's really where those little details start.
Wow, that's a great
And then
reason.
I just rolled with it.
I love that. That was better than I thought. I thought you were just gonna say it was funny. I just threw some stuff out there, see if anyone noticed.
I love it. Yeah, how you can add those meaningful components, but have it not take over like the whole kind of thing. Because I get what you mean when there's, you know, like a clock and a broken heart and a this, and it's things with such, you know, big obvious meanings that you can't really like, they're putting in your face what you should feel about it, where doing it that way, like they're so tiny and small, you could either miss them or you could, you know, they catch your eye and then you start thinking like, wait, what does this mean? Like, you know, and you can kind of, make your own conclusions from them. And that's another reasons why Procreate is so cool. You can do that. You can zoom in like infinitely and make the tiniest little things. Like, who was I think it was Cade when he bought it as well, the Heart on the Sea, when I did. And I mentioned the little people, and he didn't even realize it. He started zooming in. I'm like, like, these are high quality things. You can actually zoom in all the way, and there's a whole characters that you just missed. I think it's so cool. I loved the first time I saw that piece. I got so excited because I did see one, and then I knew there were others, and I went on a little hunt, and it was just the best.
Oh, well, that's fun. I love that. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that I know what they mean to me, but they don't have to mean that for everybody. You know, they could be meaning anything to anybody, and I love that about art. But yeah, thank you. I was so excited. I remember you shared, it might have been, was it with me, maybe on Instagram, you shared like a close-up of the three little people sitting on the headdress, and you were like, what? And I was like, oh my gosh, she found them. That's awesome.
Do you also hide things in your stories, or will you hide things in your stories?
Oh,
in your children's books and whatnot?
That's a really great question, because I love that aspect of some interactive children's books where, you know, you are like, I don't know if you call it Where's Waldo, or is it Where's Wally? We call it Where's Wally here. I'm not sure if it's Where's Waldo, but yeah, where you've got to look for particular little Where's Wally details. And, you know, I know when my son was little, we used to love reading books where you had to search for, you know, find the 7 this thing and the 10 of those things, and we could spend ages looking at those. So I would love to incorporate that into future books. I think it will be great to make it a bit more interactive as well. So, but now I'm obsessed and I can't stop. So all of my art, I'm like putting little tiny things in everywhere. It's like, okay, People are just going to be, right, Lisa, here we go again. Find the little, in my latest one, I did a collaborative artwork with Donna from DJ Designs, and that's a charity piece that we haven't put out there yet. And it's an underwater reef. And so she's done the creatures and I did the coral, and I couldn't help it. She gave me some really little creatures and she's like, you can hide them. I'm like, I will, thank you. And then but I just need to put a little tiny scuba diver down here, and that you can't really see. So there's a couple of little hidden things in there as well. So yeah, I hope people enjoy looking for those types of
we do
pieces when they see my
I'm
art.
talking for everyone right now. We do. We love it. It's the best.
Thank you. That's awesome. So I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
What makes you, when you buy a piece, like, are you looking for an emotional connection? Is that where it comes from in the first instance when you buy something? Or have you had any experience with flipping at all? Because I know I am a diamond hands crazy person who has such an emotional connection to all of the NFTs that I've bought. I have not flipped a thing. But I do get the question sometimes, oh, do you flip? Like, how much money are you making from that? And I'm like, I haven't done that. I love my collection and I don't want to get rid of any of them. But yeah, how do you go with that?
I am the exact same way. I don't think I've sold any NFT, besides my own. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I love just any sort of connection it brings you, whether it's the art piece itself. Like, I've seen art pieces where I don't actually see the artist. The piece makes me feel something and I buy it. But most of the time it's seeing the artist, being able to connect with them, hearing their story, or if it's just cool art, any of the above. But definitely never to flip. It's either because I want to support the artist specifically, which, saying this out loud, it is kind of hypocritical because flipping it would support the artist again. But I'm the same way, where I love all mine. Like, the thought of selling Mother Urban is so heartbreaking to me. Like, I don't want to. I want to know that she's on my ledger, that no one else will ever have. Like, I don't know why, I just love that. But no, I'm the exact same way. I buy all the beautiful NFTs from artists and then I just keep them and I don't sell them.
I do the same thing.
At least not yet.
And Matt, do you have
early.
NFTs as well?
Well, I mean, we kind of share a little bit, but like I played a game called like DeFi Kingdom. So it's a crypto game and all the characters were dynamic NFTs, and I got into that early. So I played with my characters and I was like actually able to like play the game and level them up and whatnot. And I did end up flipping those when the game got much bigger, but that was because like it's a video game. It's like a whole different thing for me. And that's kind of things I look for, is I look for the utility. Like a lot of these collections and whatnot, I don't really care. I don't know. None of that stuff sparks my interest. I can't look at those NFTs and be like, that's definitely going to moon. I'm going to make a lot of money from that. Like, we're video games and all that stuff I grew up playing. And I'm like, okay, this is a fun game. This makes sense. These are NFTs I would be down to buy and I think will sell for more. But then that's because I don't have any, like Sid said, we buy it because we want to support an artist or something like that. So
yeah, those were different. You didn't have a connection to those specific characters.
Exactly. And I don't care. Yeah. It's just a video game. So like I'll flip those and that's where I'm looking to make money. And then from artists, I want to keep that and diamond hand it for sure.
I'm like that too. I think in terms of like, I think I'll hang on to these because one day potentially they'll be in, my son's hands as well. And you just never know, because I think you're really investing in the artist, aren't you? Like I know that, you're investing in their future as well. So I really love that about this space, that you're investing in the future of the artist. You're investing in, you're lucky you've got this beautiful art piece that they created as well. I love everything about it.
Yeah, sneak peek. It's like you never know what can come. Might as well hold on, because like you said, you're investing in the artist.
Yeah.
You never know what they got in store and what they may be coming out with in the future.
For real. And it's funny you say that, Lisa, about talking about your son. I never think about kids. I'm just not there yet. But that makes me, seriously, you saying that makes me not want to sell any NFTs that I have even more, because you're right. All these NFT art pieces I have, that could be like our kids one day. And yeah, that's just reaffirming my behavior that I've already been doing.
I mean, because even if like the artist doesn't get big or anything, I think there's just something cool about like having some of the original NFTs too. Like this is like the beginning of the era. You're like, these were from the original days.
These
like
are some of the first NFTs ever made. Yeah.
Especially on Solana. Like imagine if Solana really does take over and it is really one of the big chains forever. It's like, all right, now we're even one of the OGs on Solana. Like Ethereum, we're still early in the grand scheme of things, but Solana, it's like you have the chance to be real early and really kind of set your place.
It's cool because everything is documented on the blockchain. We can see, like, I can show my kid one day, look, I bought this art piece from Lisa on this time. Like, it's all there. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely is. It takes over from that, it's that provenance, isn't it? What they look in the traditional art world where they're like, if you've got the certificates and the proof that this was handed down over the generations and created by this person, 200 years ago, then you're good. But it's all on the blockchain, so it's a fact. This is when it happened, and this is what was, this is when it was minted, this is who bought it and when they bought it and how much they bought it for. So yeah, I love that. And I hear you about the secondary sales. I was only pondering the other day, I was like, nobody is selling my artwork and flipping it. And I was like, should I be offended? And I came to the conclusion, no, actually, I'm really proud of that. So either way, like it's great. If people want to flip it, that's great. They can flip it. But if people want to hang on to it, honestly, that means a lot to me, because I just think that they've really connected with the artwork then, and potentially me as well. So I love that. Did I
What's that?
Get a little hint of something happening there, where there's something happening for you soon maybe? Or you can't talk to me. Don't have to talk to me about it now or at all. That's fine.
We definitely aren't going to spill the beans, because we have something major brewing and we want to do it right, and we want to do a big thing. Just don't get rid of our NFTs. For the few people watching right now, just don't get rid of our NFTs. You'll thank yourself later. Just hold on. Yeah, we're finally gonna bring value to holders, I think, in a way that no one has done before, and it's gonna be cool.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm excited for our stuff. Brilliant. I'm excited for your stuff, Lisa. I am so happy that we finally got to have you on the podcast. We've been talking, me and Lisa have been talking about this for a while. Since we were like, we want to start a podcast, I was like, Lisa, you're gonna be one of the first people I have on. It was a couple months ago, so I felt bad because I jumped the gun because I was so excited. And you're like, okay, let's plan it. And I'm like, okay, well, wait, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, we had to fully build this one out.
It took some time, but I'm so glad that you were patient and that you came on. And yeah, Lisa, you were just the best. Everyone who's watching, check out Lisa's TikToks. She is a joy to watch. Educational stuff, entertainment stuff. She's just amazing. And I'll have all of your links down below. Is there any final words you want to say?
I just wanted to say thank you so much. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you both. And yeah, the thought that this is going out to more people as well. Oh, hello everybody. It makes me nervous, but it makes me excited as well. So we have been talking about it for a little while, because I was like, yes, when are we going to talk? When are we going to talk? And you're like, and you know what? Good things take time. So I love the setup that you've got, and I love that you've got everything ready and planned and, ready to go. And it's such a beautiful setup as well. So thank you so much for having me today. Tonight. I really appreciate it. And it's been brilliant to talk to you.
Yes.
And anybody listening, just keep posting. Just put yourself out there.
Yes.
And come and find me and Sydney and Matt.
Those are great words to end on. Yeah. If you want to make art, if you want to make content, make what you want to make and put it out there.
Perfect.
I love it. All right. We will see y'all in the next one.
Bye. Peace. Thanks, Lisa. Have a good one.
Thank
you.
Lisa. You too. Bye.